Welcome to the workshop. Today we are going to be celebrating my 6-month milestone of IVIG infusions. 6 months, that is 10 infusions. So I'm going to go through today and tell you the things that have changed, the things that have gotten better, the things that have gotten different, about my symptoms, and I promise not to bore you the whole time. I'm going to be giving you little clips of projects we've already done for the fantasy dress and sneak peeks at what is to come. So keep you kind of with me on this because I know it can be a little bit boring. But my first IVIG infusion was on May 13th and then again on the 16th. I usually infuse every 3 weeks for 2 days at a time, back to back. Each day is about 4 to 5 hours, depending on random things. That infusion, the first one, was a double dose, and I had an absolutely horrendous reaction to it. I was okay in the afternoon, and then at night, I woke up with the worst headache I've ever had in my life. Things were coming up and out, and I could not hold down even a sip of water for about 18 hours. I finally got nausea meds in to stay, bigger nausea meds in, and I could continue my journey on the 16th. So that one sucked, but it was a double dose. So now I get half of that each time, which is nice. They hang beautifully. Let's see them on. I am absolutely in love with these. Look at that. Look how gorgeous those are. So what did it look like 6 months ago? When I look back 6 months ago, daily I had back and hip rigidity. I started walking with a cane shortly after my diagnosis because some of my friends said it would help, and it does help with my wobble quite a bit. I was having medium to small spasms, and the locations would change daily, hourly sometimes, weekly, monthly. All of my locations kind of come in waves, or they could be in several spots all at one time that kind of overlap. And at least every other day, I was having spasms that lasted 3 to 5 minutes. And once or twice a week, I was having spasms that lasted anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. So those were very long ones. We also changed my medication around that time when I had 2 very large incidences very close together. 6 months ago at that time, the things that were being affected the most were my ribs, my flanks, and my back. So I would have to hold on to a pillow and just keep breathing because my ribs would get so tight that sometimes it would cut off air supply. Like I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. Those were really horrible. And I had an incident, which was my first long spasm that was 22 minutes. I thought I had to go to the restroom. I sat down. I realized that I did not have to go. I was not pushing. My pelvic muscles were spasming and I could slowly feel them moving up. So I positioned myself in my bed with my body pillow. I started a timer because at 6 minutes with a spasm is when I take my first dose of rescue medicine, and then 6 to 8 minutes after that, if it has not let up, I take my second dose. So I positioned myself because I knew it was coming. It came all the way up my abdomen to under my breasts, and then around my tailbone. I did not know my tailbone could hurt so bad. So that one was a big one. So that's what it looked like 6 months ago. One thing that has not changed at all through all of this is my right arm. My right arm is where everything started, in my shoulder and my forearm. My bicep, my tricep, sometimes my deltoid, but that just kind of gets pulled along with everything else. My forearm, they spasm and twitch and jerk and fasciculate a ton daily, every day. That has not changed. It's gotten less. It has gotten less, and that is pretty awesome. Things that have greatly improved. I have far less, almost no big spasms now that last over 6 minutes. That is huge. That is huge. Those big spasms that I can feel the fasciculation start first and then small cramps and then into small spasms. Those I can tell would have been much larger, and now they're between 15 to 60 seconds each. Thumbs up IVIG, baby. My migraines are a lot less frequent. That is also awesome. Because my shoulders have eased. All of the rigidity in my shoulders has lessened. So that means I have less migraines. Those things alone have greatly improved my quality of life, like significantly, to the point where sometimes on my good days, I forget how sick I am. And that is part of my learning journey, is to know my limits, to know my boundaries, to know when I need to stop and rest and let myself be okay not being productive. That's a hard one for me, but that's okay. So things that have changed or progressed. I have developed new locations. That is a natural part of the process of stiff person syndrome. IVIG can slow the progress of the disease, but it cannot stop it. Which makes me very nervous, and it makes me also very thankful, because I think about where I would have been now without IVIG. Because my new locations are the left side of my neck that has seized up twice. That was a little scary. During a rib spasm, it migrated up to my chest and down to my sternum. So everything was spasmed. That has only happened once, thank goodness. My pelvic muscles, almost like menstrual cramps, except I had a hysterectomy in 2014. So I do not have a uterus. But it feels like menstrual cramps. And that's happened maybe like 8 times, maybe 10. Those are the ones I get, I think, the most frequently. There is one that I will not talk about because I am incredibly embarrassed, and every time I do, it makes me cry. So we're going to move on from that one. But know that there are hidden demons in this that the people going through it don't let you see. I have eye problems. I've had 4 occurrences of double vision so bad that I was scared to drive. At one point I had to drive. I had no other option, and I kept someone on the phone with me the entire time home. Luckily, it was a 9-minute drive, but it really scared me. So now I'm going to neurophysical therapy. We do a lot of stuff with eye movements to help my balance, because the eye issues I'm having, they've tested me. It is not muscular, it is neuro. And so we're doing the PT to help my balance. Because again, I use a cane. Most recently has been the scariest, and that was my face. I was on the back porch with my wife, and she thought I was making a funny face because my eyebrows were going up and down, and my whole forehead was, going, and I was kind of freaking out for a sec, and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I can't stop it." So my eyebrows are going, my hairline's going. It moved down the side of my face, got to the muscles that move my ears. So my ears were wiggling. It moved down my jaw and then up in this weird pattern up to under my eye. I got a little bit of that one on film, but by the time I realized what was actually happening, my wife had already run for my rescue meds. She did not wait 6 minutes. She's like, "This is your face." And she came in and just immediately she was Johnny on the spot with those meds because that one was really scary. The next day, I was talking to my son and I made one of those faces like, "Oh." And as I did that, I could feel the sides of my lips still quivering when I moved my muscles in that way. I tried it again. It did it again. I said, "Well, we're going to stop that." So I had residual effects from the night before. I think we did a spectacular job. Like, look at that hang. So good. So good. Yeah. My thigh spasms have now turned into very large fasciculations. Like, very large fasciculations. These things, when they hit, have become so strong that sometimes I cannot walk. I have to be helped to a seat, and I just have to take my meds and let them work, because there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Flare-ups. So, what flare-ups look like for me? Now, I cannot stress this enough. Every single patient that has stiff person syndrome is different. None of us are the same. We are all different in the progression of the disease. We are all different in the medications we take, the locations, the intensity. So the story I'm telling you is my journey, okay? So my flare-ups, they can last from a day to weeks. I just got out of a really bad 4-week flare-up. My legs and my feet were most intensely affected, and that is from hips to toes. I was in constant pain. Constant. And I mean, when I was grocery shopping, when I was cooking, when I was working, even when I was laying down resting and putting my feet up. And these are some of the symptoms that we hide. I can't tell my family or my friends or my coworkers when I'm beside them talking that I feel like my legs are about to fall off. I feel like everything is being shredded and it's so achy. It's like the worst achy you've ever felt in your life. A lot of us tend to hide the symptoms that we can because we don't want to embarrass ourselves or the people around us. Small spasms that I can get through and I can stop and pretend that I'm pondering the universe. Migraines were drastically increased in severity and frequency. They got so bad that I was having like horrendous nausea with vomiting. It was horrible. The fasciculations in my abdominal muscles became small spasms, especially in my upper right quadrant. That was really bad. And that one would just come on randomly too. I would feel a little fasciculation and then it would just tighten. And those lasted 2 to 3 minutes. All of these were pretty strong. There were 8 to 10 times that my thighs twitched, fasciculated, jerked so hard that I could not walk. And that was really scary. Fatigue has never stopped. That has been from the beginning to the end. It's gotten better, it's gotten worse. It really all depends on my muscles. Because when your muscles spasm, I consider it like weightlifting, like you're lifting something, right? And when you fasciculate, it's more of a hit workout. You're like boom, 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 boom. Next thing, boom, 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 boom. So these muscles are firing so quickly that it's still like you went to the gym. So obviously afterwards you are tired. You're exhausted. Things that still wear me out. Laundry. I cannot fold an entire load of laundry in one sitting unless it's small. Normally I have to do as much as I can, sit down, let my arms rest, and then continue. My arms get very tired very easily. Cooking is the same thing. If it's something easy, that's different, but if there's any mashing or smashing or repetitive movements, then that causes me a problem. Washing the dishes, I can get through most of a load of dishes, like a sink full, but by the end I'm leaning on the side, leaning in to do the dishes because my back hurts so bad. Anytime I lift, let's take at work. Okay, so we store paper in a back pantry. It's on the bottom shelf. I sit down on the floor, and I lift it up to our cart. Then I take the cart over to our normal cabinet that is the paper everyone uses, and I refill it, and I've lifted. Now I've lifted all of those reams of paper over my head twice. My arms are done. Done. Like, done. Walking. Sometimes walking from my car into my place of employment wears me out. Sometimes it takes a little bit more. I can't go shopping at a mall and go window look. I can't do that. Not for an extended period of time. I can't do things like that. And showering. People wouldn't think about showering, but it wears me out. Shampooing my hair twice, doing conditioner, that's all over the head movements. Repetitive movements, they get me. Having to lean over to get body parts. Sometimes after a shower, I just have to lay on the bed and not do anything. Just let my body rest for a little bit. And things I cannot do under any circumstances are sweep, vacuum, and mop. I just can't. What triggers my spasms and fasciculations are high stress days, because when your body does not have enough GABA, or my GABA receptors are not doing their job properly, that can cause an emotional spiral, anxiety, and a physical reaction to that anxiety. Or when I use my muscles, hence the lifting, walking, cooking, laundry, all of that. And that can look like anything from fatigue to fasciculations to spasms. All in all, I have more good days than bad days. I have my hell week, which is 2 to 3 days before infusion. My symptoms get worse. My 4 days, the 2 days of infusion, 2 days to recover, and then sometimes it takes another. So I have my hell week, and the rest of it is pretty okay. I'm feeling a lot better. I still have the occasional flare up, a day, a week, whatever. But for the most part, I'm doing so much better. And again, I cannot imagine where my life would be right now at this point if I had not started IVIG when I did. I'm incredibly lucky to have caught this early. 3 years in is early for stiff person syndrome. I'm very lucky to have had the neurologist that started treating me properly with the right medications. And I am just very lucky that I have a staff of physicians that actually care. So that's it. That is my 6-month update, my milestone, my first milestone. I'll give you another in 6 months once I've made it to a year, okay? Thank you for staying with me through all of this. If you have made it to the end, I appreciate you with all my heart. I cannot say that I had a great time doing this, but I do hope that you enjoyed all the cool little sneak peeks and all of the neat little things that we've finished on this fantasy ball dress. If you haven't gone to look at that playlist, you should definitely do that. All my playlists are great because they're separated into different sections. So, all of this, all of these in here. Look at that. All of that. All the way up to there. I hope you did enjoy that. I hope the rest of your day is absolutely wonderful, and I hope that all good things are coming to you.